I don't know why I'm acting like this is weird for me. I talk to myself all the time, like an unhealthy amount. Let me introduce myself. Okay. This is Get It Off Your Chest. I am your host, Arie. Um, yeah, let's just get into it. Let's just act like we know each other already, okay? I wanted to talk about Love is Blind. And Micah from Love is Blind season 4 on Netflix. This is for you. Okay? This video is specifically for you and for all of my recovering people pleasers out there who saw what I saw. If you saw what I saw or you felt what I felt, please stand up. Please. Okay? I know I can't be the only one. Because I know Micah is hated right now. I know Micah is like, for some reason, she's like y'all's number one enemy. Like, let's not play. We know that Jacquelina is number one. And actually, Irina is still, they knucking and bucking for that number one spot, if we're being honest. So let's not act like Micah. I mean, she's definitely maybe number two if Jacquelina and Irina are fighting for number one. But if we're gonna list them, it's like Jacquelina, Irina, and then Micah. Let's not play, all right? A lot of y'all hate her, and I understand why, because I hated her too. Like, when I first started watching the show, I was like, oh, nar. Who casted her? And why? But the more that I watched the show and the more that I actually just observed her and observed her interactions with other people, like her dates in the pods and the friends that she decided to have in the pods and also back home, Seattle's Mean Girls, I was like, oh, I see what this is. And I see why I hate you. She very much reminded me of my unhealed version of me. And when you're in recovery of any sort, when you are recovering and healing from trauma and your trauma responses and your triggers, anything that reminds you of who you used to be and what you used to do and the really ugly parts of yourself is going to trigger the shit out of you. So it made sense why she was triggering me. And she's definitely a villain. I'm not going to sit here and lie. She's definitely a villain. She gives manipulative. She gives dishonest slightly. But I don't think she's the villain for the reasons why y'all think she is. Truly. I think she is her own villain. I think she's her own arch nemesis. I think she's her own worst enemy. And because she's her own worst enemy, she's like indirectly everybody else's worst enemy. And I'm going to get into why I feel that way. I can kind of sniff out a people pleaser due to trauma response, due to traumatic events, big T's and little T's. I can sniff them out a mile away. And it only took maybe 2 episodes for me to be like, okay, I get it. It wasn't until I like met her home friends that I was like, oh, this makes sense. People pleasers, due to trauma, are manipulative. And they are dishonest. But not in a malicious way and not in an insidious way. It's a coping mechanism. It is a trauma response in order to keep themselves safe. People pleasers will manipulate the situation in order to keep other people happy so that they remain safe and so that they remain kept. The dishonesty portion comes when they are not open about their true intentions, and they're not open about their boundaries and their needs and their wants and desires. And it's not truly the people pleaser's fault, honestly, because their coping mechanism is not having any needs and not having any wants or desires or boundaries, because they need to figure out a way to be of service so that they remain kept. They need to figure out a way to stay within other people's lives. And what's the best way to stay in someone's life if not to be of service to them and to not be irreplaceable? That is like the number one way, right? But it's also the most unsustainable way. Like, it's not realistic. You can't not have needs for all of your life. You can't be of service to somebody for the entirety of your existence. There's going to be a time when you need something. There's going to be a time when you want something, or you want to evolve, you want to change, you want to grow. And if you surround yourself with people who don't know that aspect of you, don't care to know that aspect of you, you're surrounding yourself and you're building very ingenuine and inauthentic relationships. And I see that with Micah in her relationships, truly. Her relationship with Irina, inauthentic, ingenuine. Her relationship with Shelby, and I'm not saying I know these people. I'm just, based on what I see on TV and based on lived experiences, inauthentic, ingenuine. There's no friend who is going to try to hit on your fiance. There is no friend who is going to be so catty to your new boyfriend or your new fiance or your husband just cuz. Your friends, their only job is to support you and love you. You. They don't love you. They love who you are to them. They don't see you as like a real person. And that is the hardest pill to swallow. That was the hardest pill for me to swallow on my journey to recovering and healing my traumas and stepping out of being a people pleaser. It was my doing. You know, I'm not going to say trauma responses are the people's fault, but it is your doing when you build relationships in a false manner. When you aren't clear about your needs or your wants. People aren't mind readers. They're not going to naturally know what you need and what you want and what's too much for you and what's too little for you. There's a whole added layer as a people pleaser, though, because you don't realize that the way you are building relationships is false. You think that is love. You think that self-sacrifice is love. You think that needing nothing from anybody is love. You think that being everything for everyone is your place in life. And it's not. You deserve people to support you. You deserve friends who want to uplift you through every stage of your life. The other added layer to building relationships as a people pleaser, especially when you're at the precipice of your downward spiral to hell, is that you tend to gravitate towards, or these specific people tend to gravitate towards you, the people who are going to be obsessed with you. And as a people pleaser, you like that. Unfortunately, because that means that you are going to be kept. That means that this person is never going to leave. They're never going to abandon you. You're never going to experience loss. And that is usually what triggers this trauma response, is some form of abuse, some form of extreme abandonment or extreme loss. You just want to be kept. You want to be loved. You want to be taken care of, and you want to have a home, right? But when you have no boundaries and you have no outward needs and you don't display them, the people that gravitate towards you are people who are going to abuse that. And the people that you gravitate towards are going to be the people that abuse that. They're going to be the obsessive people. And what happens when you have an obsessive person, they become possessive. They become controlling. They're usually judgmental. They usually only offer conditional love. They don't unconditionally love you. And you think that you're building these deep, intimate, loving relationships, but you're not. Because at their core, there's no foundation of honesty at the core of it. There's no foundation of mutual beneficial relations. You're not being true to what you want and need. And to me, it was so clear after a couple of episodes watching Micah, her interactions in the pods with Kwame and Paul. She was just like, the question she was asking, or her what she needed was to feel obsessed over. And she kind of played them. She played both of them at once, where she was like, do you want me and only me? Okay, well then you got to break it off with, what was that girl's name that Paul was talking to? Audrey? Amber. You need to break it off with Amber, okay? And she kind of did the same thing with Kwame, and he was like, I want to propose to you early. And she was like, what?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Why was she so shocked that this man wanted to propose to her early when she was literally trying to isolate him from everybody else? She didn't want him talking to nobody else. She didn't want Paul talking to nobody else. She wanted these men to only be talking to her because she needs to be obsessed over. And the one friend, the one like best friend she made in the house was Irina's ass. That girl was more than obsessed with her. With friends like Irina and Shelby, you don't need enemies. The friends that are like Irina and Shelby only want 3 things from you. They either want to be with you, or they want to be you, or they secretly hate your fucking guts and they want you dead. That's it. And I thought Irina was the former. Like, I thought she was the first option. I thought she wanted to be with Micah. I was almost positive of that. I was like, oh, she's in love with her. Because they were cuddling every night on those sofas. They was cuddling every night. And then when she got with Zach, she literally put a pillow in between them. And a stuffed animal. So I'm like, oh, she likes girls. Or maybe she just likes Micah. I don't know. But I realized that wasn't the case when she tried to lay it down on Paul. And I was like, oh, it's actually number 2. She wants to be Micah. Okay. That girl's not your friend. She's enemy number 1. If we go to Shelby, that girl wants to be with Micah. It's clear as day. Nobody's ever going to be good enough for Micah because they're not Shelby. Shelby's the only person that Shelby thinks is going to be good enough for Micah. And you can tell that based on their interactions. She's always like, she got a nasty attitude towards everything that Micah is trying to do for herself. She's just like, that's your bestie? Absolutely not. She's like, I single-handedly ended relationships for Micah. Multiple. Girl. That's a flex to you? That's a flex to you? That your best friend has yet to find the love of her life? That's a flex to you because of you single-handedly ending them? And that's exactly what she tried to do with Paul. Maybe that's even what she did with Paul. To me, it was just clear as day. This girl is not your friend. She wants you. She absolutely wants to be with you. There is no reason why she is acting like this towards you and Paul. And then at her birthday party, when she realized that her nasty attitude wasn't doing what she wanted it to do, what did she do next? She cried. She started, she just started crying like, no, this isn't for you. You deserve the best. You're Micah. You're Micah. And that's the thing. When people talk about you like that in third person, you know that they don't really see you. Like, truly. You know. You know that they don't really see you. They have this idea of who you are and what you should do with your life, and it's your life. Don't let anybody tell you what you should be doing or how you should be doing it. Especially your friends are there to support you. Not saying lie to your friends. I'm not saying be dishonest and or, sugarcoat everything or be a yes man. Absolutely not. Lay down the law with your friends because you love them and you care for them truly. But don't pretend that you actually care for them when it's clear as day that every time they try to do something good for themselves or every time they get a win, you're like upset about it somehow. Be a supportive friend. Be a loving friend. Be a friend who wants their best friend to prosper, and be there if it doesn't end up that way. I think it's very selfish when people are like, I'm not going to be there for my friend because I think that this is a stupid decision. Tell that bitch you think it's a stupid decision, but you still, as her friend, need to be there. What do you mean? She'd be there for you, wouldn't she? You think every decision you've made, your friends think were great decisions? No. But you be honest with your friend. You let them know you think it's a stupid choice. And you let them know, I'm still going to be here for you because that's my role as your friend. And I love you and I support you. And I want what's best for you. And I think Shelby thought she was doing that. I think she thought, she was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm going to go to the wedding. I'm going to show up. But it's like, you're showing up with a nasty ass attitude. Your vibe is off. Your vibe is so piss poor. Why would anybody want you there? And that's not truly showing up. Truly showing up is showing up wanting the best. Your best friend got left at the altar and she's crying, running down the hall, running down the aisle. And you were like, yes, that's what I wanted to happen. What the fuck? Micah, she is your number one hater. Her and Irina are your they're competing for that number one spot too. Micah's biggest hater. Those are not your friends. And I know you guys out there are like, you think Micah was being manipulative at the altar when she was like, you answer first. And when she said that she needed Paul to answer first because she felt like he was going to say no, and she just needed him to say yes in order for her to say yes, that is true people pleaser nature. Stop it. I believe her when she says that. I believe that she needed Paul's yes in order to say yes, because if he was talking to her the whole time the way he was talking to his dad and his stepmom, talking about, I don't know. And his dad was like, if y'all love each other, that's all you need. And he's like, well, that's what Micah says to me, but I don't know. He was showing her that he did not know if he wanted to be with her the whole time. They just weren't showing it to us. So I believe her when she says she just needed him to say yes in order for her to say yes. That's why she was like, you answer first, because I need to know it's a yes from you. My answer literally depends on a yes from you. So I believe her when she said that. And I also think that she probably had him do it because she didn't want her yes to influence his answer either. I think she wanted his true answer from his heart because she knew that he was not feeling it. I do not think she did that to play victim. I think she truly needed his yes. I'm not excusing Micah's mean girl behavior at all, but she very much gives me the vibe that she's the company that she keeps. And if she were to have friends like Tiffany's friends, she wouldn't be that type of person. She would be more like Tiffany. She would be more just, you know how Tiffany's just like always smiling and melting. I feel like that would be Micah too. But Micah kind of has this, I don't know, she's kind of rigid a little bit. And I think that's what Paul was saying with he couldn't see a nurturing aspect in her. And it probably was because of the people she be hanging with. Does Shelby give y'all, does she give y'all nurturing energy? Does Irina give y'all nurturing energy? No. So why would Micah give him nurturing energy? Even though I could kind of see it in her, I could see that if she had the right people around her, she would be able to be a nurturer, because I just see it in her. I see that she has the capabilities of being a good person, a genuinely good person, but it starts here. She needs to work through whatever trauma she hasn't worked through yet. She needs to get on her people-pleasing recovery train and keep chugging along. And I think she is, because she put out a statement on her Instagram or something where she was like, honestly, if I was watching someone like me on TV, I would hate her too. I think that's what she said. I'll insert a clip. But she said something along the lines of that. So I think like her watching herself from like a third party perspective, she's like, oh God, what an ugly person. Not physically, but like inside, you know, like she was giving manipulative and she was giving mean girl. And I don't think that that's actually who she is. I do think that she is highly influenced by the people she keeps around her. And it's because she is a very accepting, non-judgmental person. So she probably just has these friends who she accepted when she was younger and keeps them around. But they're not your friends. You can tell that people aren't your friends in the way that they react to things that bring you joy, in the way that they react to you changing, in the way that they react to you placing boundaries. I also saw a video on TikTok. It was like a clip of some type of interview with Kehlani, and she was talking about people having issues with boundaries. I'll insert that clip here too, because it was so good.
Anybody who benefits from you not having boundaries is not your friend. So if I set my boundaries and I tell you, like, honestly, this is just what it is, and you react negatively to that, you don't actually love me, because you're not hearing me just be honest about something that really isn't even a problem. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not being mean. I'm literally telling you where my life is at and what I can do and what I can't do. And if you take that offensively, you don't love me. There's no way.
It's so true. There is no way that person loved you if they are angry about boundaries that you are placing. Because the boundary isn't an issue. You having needs and wants and desires, and you doing something to make your life better or increase your comfortability, that should never be an issue. And if somebody finds it as an issue, they don't love you, okay? Cut them out of your life. Kidding. You don't have to cut everybody out of your life. Some friendships and relationships can be fixed. And like you can put them through rehab and fix it right up. But it doesn't depend on you if that relationship is capable of being fixed. It depends on that other person. If they're willing to take accountability, if they're willing to change. If they're not willing to change, like truly change, not like some fake change, but truly change, then it's not salvageable. Micah, I want better friends for you. And I really do hope you find love, because I do think you deserve it. Past all the bullshit and the mean shit and the fucked up shit, I actually saw who you were deep down inside. And I resonated with it. And maybe that's why I can extend this form of empathy. But I think you deserve more than you think you deserve. And I saw you still defending your friends And I'm letting you know right now, baby, they are not your friends, okay? Let them go. Let them go. But yeah, to anyone who's listening, this is just a space where I want to be able to talk freely. This is not a space for trauma bonding, but it is a space if you want to bond over healing your trauma or wanting to heal your trauma or in the process of healing trauma. And it's just a space to get some shit off our chest. So if you are interested in that, like, subscribe. Yeah. Leave the door open on your way out. Okay. Bye.